Did you know that over 80% of all global trade is done using the US dollar? But how did a single country's currency become the backbone of the entire world economy? Today, we'll travel through history, from shining gold coins and world wars to oil deals and modern digital finance, to uncover how the US dollar became the planet's most powerful currency. 1. The Age of Gold. Long before the dollar ruled the world, gold was king. For centuries, gold wasn't just a symbol of wealth, it was wealth. Every coin had value because it was made of real gold or silver, not because a government declared it so. This system was called the gold standard, a system where paper money could be exchanged for real gold at any time. By the late 1800s, the biggest powers, Britain, France, and the United States, all linked their currencies to gold. Trade became stable and predictable. Merchants could trust that the money they received abroad had real, measurable value. It was a system built on trust, metal, and math, not politics. Gold also influenced global power. Countries with the largest gold reserves could finance wars, industrial expansion, and international loans. London, with its massive reserves, became the center of global finance, earning the city a reputation as the financial capital of the world. Interestingly, even small nations tried to accumulate gold to gain prestige and economic security, showing how universal the allure of gold was. 2. World War I, the fall of gold. Then came World War I. Nations needed weapons, armies, and supplies, which meant one thing: money. Governments printed massive amounts of paper currency because gold alone could not finance such enormous costs. This broke the gold standard. By the end of the war, most currencies had lost significant value. People's savings disappeared, and economies plunged into uncertainty. But the United States was different. It joined the war late, avoided widespread destruction, and by 1918, held the majority of the world's gold reserves. U.S. industries were booming, exports skyrocketed, and American banks were lending money worldwide. The balance of global economic power quietly shifted, from Europe to the United States. Even cultural influence grew. Hollywood movies and American consumer products began reaching Europe, reinforcing not just financial but also cultural dominance. 3. The interwar years and the Great Depression. After World War I, countries attempted to restore the gold standard, but it was too fragile. The 1920s saw a temporary boom, followed by the devastating Great Depression of the 1930s. In Europe, unemployment soared, banks collapsed, and international trade slowed dramatically. Countries that relied on gold could not stabilize their currencies. Meanwhile, the U.S. emerged as a refuge of economic stability. By the mid-1930s, the dollar was increasingly seen as a safe store of value, even before World War II began. During this time, innovative financial tools, like government-backed bonds and central banking reforms, strengthened America's economic infrastructure, setting the stage for global leadership. 4. Bretton Woods and the dollar standard. After World War II, the world faced a choice: rebuild and cooperate, or collapse into chaos. Europe was in ruins, trade was paralyzed, and trust between nations had vanished. In 1944, representatives from 44 countries met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. There, they made a historic decision. Every major currency would be tied to the US dollar. And the dollar itself would be tied to gold, at $35 per ounce. This decision created a global financial system that would last for decades. The dollar became the center of trade, and US economic strength became the foundation of global stability. From now on, if a country wanted to engage in international trade, it needed dollars. Bretton Woods also created institutions like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank, which further ensured the dollar's central role in global finance. 5. The American Century. The post-war period marked the rise of the American century. Factories produced cars, planes, and appliances. European nations rebuilt under the Marshall Plan, using U.S. loans paid in dollars. International trade, from oil to steel to grain, increasingly revolved around the dollar. By the 1960s, the United States held two-thirds of the world's gold reserves. The dollar wasn't just a currency, it was a symbol of stability, innovation, and economic might. Banks and governments around the world trusted it implicitly. American cultural influence also reinforced economic dominance. Brands like Coca-Cola and Levi's became global symbols of modern life. Even diplomacy often revolved around Washington and New York, showing how economic and cultural power were intertwined. 6. The end of the gold standard. However, this dominance came with challenges. America's spending on the Vietnam War and imports caused a massive outflow of dollars. Other countries began questioning whether the U.S. could maintain the gold backing for all its currency in circulation. On August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon announced that the U.S. would no longer convert dollars into gold. The gold standard was officially dead. Many predicted disaster. Yet, the dollar survived, because the global economy had become dependent on it. By then, the US dollar was more than gold, it was trust, power, and global influence. 7. The petrodollar system. In the 1970s, a new system further cemented the dollar's dominance, the petrodollar. The US struck a deal with Saudi Arabia, all oil would be sold in dollars. Soon, other oil-producing countries followed. This meant that nations worldwide, from Japan to Germany to India, had to buy dollars before they could purchase oil. The demand for dollars exploded, reinforcing its global supremacy. This system allowed the United States to borrow freely and maintain economic influence worldwide. Interestingly, the petrodollar system also encouraged global investment in U.S. financial markets, linking the world economy ever more tightly to the American dollar. 8. The dollar in the modern world. Even today, over 60% of global reserves are still held in U.S. dollars. Around 90% of foreign exchange transactions involve it. Most international loans, bonds, and oil contracts are still priced in dollars. The dollar's dominance gives the U.S. unique advantages. It can borrow cheaply, sanction countries, and influence global markets with a single decision. However, the world is changing. Countries like China and Russia, along with the BRICS nations, are exploring alternatives to reduce dependence on the dollar. Digital currencies, like China's digital yuan and global cryptocurrencies, are emerging as potential competitors. Yet, despite challenges, the dollar remains the king of money, trusted by governments, businesses, and investors alike. 9. Conclusion: why the dollar still rules. From gold bars in dusty vaults to digital transactions across continents, money has evolved, but the dollar still wears the crown. It's more than a currency, it's a tool of global influence. History shows that no empire lasts forever. But for now, the US dollar remains the most powerful currency on the planet. Dollar banknote. If you enjoyed this journey through the history of money, make sure to subscribe for more videos on history, economics, and global finance. Because the world of money hides more secrets than you can imagine.